I would like to share some, because it's always best to see some visuals and then talk about them. It's more interesting for the audience to see, okay, what was done during that time. So I will just share my screen right now and show you some work samples over the period of years, and you will understand how things have developed, evolved, and changed, how digital is shaping up. So let me just share me on my screen, please. Can you see my screen, sir?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, automotive industry digital evolution, the last decade has witnessed several changes. For us, it's always been very important is finish, quality. Using 3D as a capability, we always believe that good looking product makes an mark on the audience. So let me just show you some references and some samples that we have done over a period of time. You can see this is industry first, 2009. We created a very beautiful Maruti SX4 3D interactive website using 3D interactive videos. During that point of time, we had bandwidth connectivity of 512 kbps. That was the speed that we were having. And we had built the entire concepts of car viewing, car having experience on the website by making complete 3D animation. And you can see the interactivity, the feel, the finish of it. So you can see that how the whole thing get born. This whole thing was born at that point of time, and acceptance of client was only on the basis of idea and not on basis of technology. Client never wanted to give you a project because you have a certain technology. They want to give you a project because you have a certain idea. So that was the very first step of pushing digital through. And as you can see here, so we had done a lot of work by the very first step to create a very beautiful and interesting showroom experience at that point of time where the car is the hero and car is talking. This was done way back 12 years ago. I will take it forward. As time flew, every year your idea has to only evolve. You just cannot do what you have done. You need to do something better than that. So the next year, the time went by, client wants more. They want now say, okay, animation is done. Can you show me something more? Gamification was the name of the game at that point of time. People were playing games online. So we gamified the whole experience of the new product where the two crash test dummies are explaining in their conversation, we explain the car in terms of, you can see a lot of interactive engagement. Now this interactive engagement was with the customer, where the customer selects the answer, the user select the answer, basis that he scores the points, and basis that he will be able to experience the whole product. So gamification was a trend. Now, when I say this, it means that this was kind of a first thing that we have done. And then for the next couple of years, clients were using this as a benchmark and making a lot of websites which has got gamification inside that. I will push a little bit forward. Now, this was a very early stage of augmented reality. Now, again, when 3D is done, gamification is done, they want more. And that's the best part about technology. It keeps on changing and you keep on evolving. You see that here we have introduced augmented reality in 2011. In fact, Tata Manza was launched in a PR event in their Auto Journo event using augmented reality, where the QR code was scanned and you can see the whole car in 3D using the brochure as a marker, which is still today people are using it as a technology. There are few things in this. At that point of time, QR code was a very new concept. People really didn't understand whether to read the QR code, you need to have a QR code scanner. So it was a kind of a hindrance, but the technology was there. It all started, the whole journey of augmented reality started during those times. And after this point of time, a lot of other OEMs we have worked with, we have done AR experiences. But due to the QR code understanding, the technology really didn't got kicked in. People didn't understand how to read QR code scanner and then how to read the AR. But yes, the whole thing began.
Okay. Question which comes to my mind at this stage, Deepak, is that if you were to go back 10 years in 2011, what was the cost like as compared to today, and what was the technology capability as compared to today? And you can wait for the video to finish before answering my question.
Okay. So this was one of the very
and go
beautiful
off
work
precisely
done
when the
for
race
Audi and through
ended.
their ad
This
agency,
microsite
Switzerland
was
Asia.
designed as a 24-hour
Again, idea
online
is
race
very
where the
important.
Audi
What is
R18
that you want to
TDI was
achieve
racing.
in that
But
concept? Where in this we made a
when the
concept
users
where you
landed on the
can blow
microsite,
on the
they
mic
saw
and
a
the car will
photoreal
move on the
recreation
screen.
of the Audi R18
Many people
TDI
got
at the Le
engaged in
Mans
making this
circuit.
idea
They
viral
were then asked
and they were pushing the
whether
car
the
by blowing in the mic
was the feature
while the
film
Audi was
or the
racing in the
teaser
Audi
of
Lemo
the
race
next car of
and
famous
people were
Audi
trying to
racers.
make Audi win on their
Users
website.
blew at the microphone
Like hundreds and thousands of people come on the site and they were blowing on their mic and they were
Let's
moving the Audi
replay
forward.
it a couple of more times before
So
we review the Audi
conceptually,
R18
as you can
TDI
see, that
revolution.
people are evolving and technology is evolving. Now coming to the point that you just asked me here, one second, I'll just put the screen. Coming to the point here, you just asked me, what was back then? Back then, it was all very new, specifically in terms of resources, because it was not just like readily available. We really have to cultivate resources. We have to figure out the idea, and even the softwares were like really not that handy, and definitely the cost, what I felt, was pretty high at that point of time because the technology was very new. What I liked about the whole idea was that clients were very willing to experiment. They wanted to create a difference because at that point of time, idea is so important that they just wanted to be different from what others are doing by using technology. Yes, so today costs are not that high because it's so much available, resources are available, technology has matured over a period of time. So it's going to be like, you need to just have a beautiful idea and the technology helps to understand. Back then, idea and technology, so because the technology was not so evolved, so we have to really think through, okay, what we can do with this technology that we have in hand and how much we can create out of that. So now it's so mature, costs have gone down. Back then it was really expensive. And you can only do maybe one or two projects in 1 year, not like today we can do where you can do one, two projects every month. So the
Sure,
volume has changed.
sure. So, again, yes, cost has come down, capability has increased, but what about the revenue from the customer? Was customer, you said that it depended on the idea, but was the customer ready to pay, and did all those big sums which you required to make immersive technology content?
Good question. See, customer at that point of time was very willing because even the digital as a tech was evolving and now they wanted to be part of that digital tech journey. It was the beginning of the whole idea of digital. Now, what are you doing in digital was the question because that point of time their idea was no ROI from digital. There was no ROI. They were not expecting any revenue from digital. What they were expecting was a brand presence. Is my brand present? Is my brand looking good on digital platform? Only was their expectation. So when that was the expectation and there was no ROI thing, so they were willing to spend. They were willing to spend because they wanted to be and make a mark saying, okay, you know what, our idea is really different and they are good. Today
So,
is
in
very
other
different.
words,
Yeah.
the people were looking for, the business was looking to be positioned as a leader,
Yes.
that they are, wanting to take up innovative work, they are wanting to adopt, technology. So, understand. Now, let's fast forward 10 years. We are in 2021.
Yes.
We have been in a pandemic for the last 18 months.
Right.
So, what do you see as the customer buying and the channel buying, and how do you see immersive technologies impacting that?
Again, nice one. See, first of all, this everybody knows, and I don't have to say it. Overall, this whole situation has fast forward the whole world by many years. acceptance to digital is so easy. Like even my mom is accepting digital. She is willing to, do use WhatsApp or Facebook video chat as a medium rather than going and meeting people. So everything is fast forwarded. It only means that digital acceptance will not be known anymore because digital is going to be part of your life. So we won't be talking about digital anymore. It's there. Like, they say ghar, gaadi, makan, it's digital. It's all becoming so much part of your ecosystem that if it is not there, you are going to miss like, okay, boss, my phone is not there, my apps are not there. Okay. So it's all going to be there. Now the point here is that are we present in that ecosystem? Our customer, our clients, are they present? And if they are present, to what degree? To what level? What level of the comfort of the actual audience? And what level of technology implementation? Because the technology that is available to you and me is available to everyone. We're just not the ones of the technology ownership. Everybody is doing that. So what is the level of experience you are offering to your end customer is the going to be name of the game. It's
So,
all about the
in
experience.
other words, if I were to talk about a situation today, the customer is relatively more mature. From your perspective, your solutions are relatively much better. But there's another factor. If you go back to 2011, possibly there were not too many players who were offering such solutions. But today, when technologies become so and ever pervasive, then there are so many people also. So, isn't this a very interesting? What are your thoughts on that?
See, this is a good question again because competitive landscape is only going to increase. Okay, no matter where we go in the world. But the point here is that if there's a competition, if somebody is doing better than you, now you have to up your game. It means that more thinking. More thinking means more evolution. More evolution means you want to get something different from your client. And expectation of the client, because the technology is still the same, your augmented reality, your virtual reality, it's all going to be still the same. Your hardware doesn't change. Okay, your programs doesn't change. You only get an update of Unity or Unreal of these programs in just maybe 1 quarter or maybe half yearly. That doesn't change. Now, what needs to change is your thinking every
I,
time.
I love it. I love that spirit. That it is all about what is in one's mind and how can we get those creative juices going? How can we get those innovative juices going? So, okay, then again, back to 2021. And yes, I couldn't agree more with you that the only positive aspect possibly about the pandemic has been that it has really fast forwarded digital adoption and digital transformation, which we could, as a ecosystem, we could not have done it in years. It has happened in 18 months.
Yeah.
Having said that, then how can you show us something or tell us something more about how does a customer and a channel, which is a dealer, experience evolve as of today in automobile buying?
Good. So let me do one thing. I'm going to share some of our, again, I'll just share my screen once again. I will take you through some references that we have done during this time. And while I'm sharing it, I'll talk about it.
Sure.
So I'll just go a little bit forward from here. I'll escape this presentation. Again, this was a simple augmented reality app we have created for Hero X Pulse. This was one of their POCs, it was not the live project, but we did it very beautifully. So I want to talk about it. You see that how things come back. Things come back because COVID got something different, which is called contactless. People don't want to be and talk and touch and do things like that way. So contactless becomes the name of the game again. And what's going to be more immersive than augmented reality here? So at the end of the day, is augmented reality good enough for you to visualize your product without moving into the dealership? Is was the question the client asked. So we found and we said, okay, let's make a beautiful, small application where your customer can see the whole product features and yet augment the bike on the actual road with the real scale and small scale and see how it looks like. So you see that how technology is now slowly trying to solve the gap here. Now it's no more a marketing idea. It's all about it's becoming the idea to sell the product. Okay, it's becoming more omni-channel, as we say the word. So here the technology is again coming back and solving the problem of sell. I want to show you one more idea here. Let me just change my screen. Okay.
Welcome to Nissan India's virtual showroom. Since your safety is of utmost importance,
This was done
we
during
made sure
just when we got
you
into
don't
the
have to leave
so-called,
home.
the whole
Through a
lockdown procedure
user-friendly interface,
last year.
now you can
And
enjoy the most intricate of
client was
your
very
digital
proactive. They wanted to do something
from
different.
home.
Virtual showroom suddenly became the whole name. Everybody now is doing virtual showrooms. You can go to any OEM, you'll find a virtual showroom.
Click on
Virtual showroom is again a psychology for your end users, and they feel that okay, let me explore the product from the authentic source, which is the website of the OEM itself.
canceling cabin.
Usually, what happens? Clients are going to do their research by going to bloggers and several videos. Whatever research they do, they still want to come back and validate every information from the OEM website because they are buying their product. Now, what's the best other way of showing the product is through virtual showroom. You showcase the whole beautifully the 360-degree view of your car, realistically, exterior, interior, and explain the product. Now you see all those things that were ideas in past are now becoming more functional here. They are being used to sell the brand, not just visualize the product anymore. So now they're using this as a medium to sell. Another thing I want to just show you was also
Hi, here's your chance to take the bold, beautiful.
not only that, a step forward was a virtual test drive.
Buckle up.
Virtual test drive concept is so different. Like, usually what we believe virtual test drive can be by putting a VR headset, we do the test drive. But here what we did is we actually shot a full VR video where customer can see different features of the car and while they are being driven actually in a 360-degree environment. So you see the 360 immersive is being used so differently on the medium of desktop, mobile. It can be used also on the VR headset. So yeah, it's just shaping up differently with time.
So, in other words, sitting at home, I am able to do both the components, which was, earlier days called desk research and field research, which means
Right.
that at home I used to be researching about, which model I want to buy, what is my budget, etc., kind of a thing. And then I used to go down to the showroom to validate my ideas. But here I'm doing both the things at home, sitting at home.
Yeah. See, you are so right. Now, while you are at home, you want. So, client, what is client thinking? Client is thinking that let me nail my audience wherever they come. If they visit on through a mobile application or through a desktop or online or offline, wherever my client is visiting me, they are coming to see my product. I want to stop them there, give them full experience. So nothing is left to imagination or nothing is left to chance. So that is the whole concept going around the world now. And that is why every medium is getting evolved, right from mobile applications to your websites, virtual test drives. When you go to dealership, they want to give so much in the dealership as well. So they want clarity. They want to just let audience get full experience, knowledge, information. Because now what is happening is with the social media, there's so much of information floating around. They just don't want people to pick up wrong ones. So they want, okay, you want information, come to my product site and see it.
So, two questions come to my mind. One is that there is a difference between, a 360 experience and a VR experience.
Right.
That's number one. What path have you taken and why?
Okay. See, what I always believe is, first of all, there's nothing called two different 360 or VR. They are all one. Okay. The whole experience is 3D. The whole experience is visual. Now, mediums can change. I can put 360-degree view on the desktop, I can put on the mobile application, or I can use the same 360-degree view to take it on my VR device. It's all about engagement level. Okay, I'll give you a very good example here again. Now I just showed you about Nissan Virtual Showroom. I will give you a different engagement, how 360-degree is used in immersive format. I'll just share my screen once again. Now this is a mobile virtual reality, like a portable VR headset. What happens here is when you call for a Mahindra test drive, car of a Mahindra test drive, along with the test drive vehicle, demo vehicle, earlier the salesman used to carry a brochure, but now what they do is they carry a virtual headset. Samsung Gear VR or Oculus, whatever is available, they carry a headset along with them. And after the test drive, they make user wear the headset and choose the exact variant, exact color, accessorize their car and see what they are going to buy. And nothing is left to imagination. It's not like you see the chart and you see the features, you see the functions. Okay, this car has got alloy wheel, this has got wheel cap, or this has got this feature, that has got that feature. You just have to imagine. But now here you can actually see it. So now you see this, the same thing is available most of the times on their OEM website. But the context here has changed because the audience has called the product home. They have called for a test drive. Their interest level is very high in your product. It only means that are you able to provide an experience at that level? Or you ask them to say, okay, sir, you do this test drive and go to the website and check the variant. No, you want to nail him there. You want him to close the deal. So what you're doing is you are taking the experience to the next level. You're making it more personal for him. You're making it more engaging for him. So this is how we are using 360-degree.
You've touched upon a very, very interesting aspect, and this is that a person may not be having a head-mounted devices at home, but the salesperson will take the head-mounted devices with him. So in a sense, we are also still living in a blended world.
Yes.
Because it is not totally digital. There is some element of human interaction. Would that be right?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. See, what in my opinion, car buying is just not going to be completely digital in very near future. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to become completely digital when you're going to have a driverless car. The moment I don't have to drive my car is maybe I'll just say, let me order my car because I'm going to drive it anyways. If I have to drive my car, I need to get blended. I need to see my product. It means that some degree of interaction is going to happen with the sales rep of the company. I might get every information from the website, but I need to hear some information from the sales agent that's coming to my door. I need to see his conviction level in selling the product to me as a buyer. It means that now when he is coming, is he equipped enough with technology to give me a level up experience here? That's the game. So here we are trying to see, okay, you want me to test drive the vehicle? Sir, I have got a virtual reality headset for you. Please wear it, see the variant of your choice, see the color, and I'm going to see if this is available at my dealership. And this is the price.
And that is a very, very good point, because even in Australia, your biggest purchase is your home purchase. And the number 2 purchase is a car purchase. So when it comes to a high value buying, a customer he does want to get the feel and touch of it, in spite of the fact that we are able to provide very good immersive experiences. So
Correct.
The bottom line message is that yes, it is still a while before all of us will feel comfortable for having a totally digital experience for such a high value buying. Now, another question comes to me is that when it comes to buying something like a car or something like an equally expensive product, there is some element of financial borrowing, which may or may not be there. So, in the experiences that you are developing, are you providing, or is there now at a time where you're able to link up financial service providers also?
Yes. So it's a very good question. Now you see this tech is evolving beyond visual. Okay. Now what I was showing you was visual. Tech has gone beyond visual now. Now you want connected experience. It means that you just don't really want to see the product. While you are seeing the product, you really want to understand, am I capable enough to buy this car? Or rather, I have the kind of a score that is required to get a finance. Okay. Or my finance is readily available. Now you see that this framework doesn't work independently of what you, me, or a OEM or a dealership want. Because here third party is getting involved. It means the finance companies, the banks, even they're getting involved. Most of the OEMs here are now linking their booking platforms with the financial institutions through their APIs. It means that they're trying to see, can I check you immediately, your CRISIL rating, your CIBIL score, and see whether your eligibility of finance is there or not. It means that yes, within few seconds or a few minutes, I would be able to convey the message to you, sir, okay, seeing what currently your status is, I would be able to finance this vehicle to you. At least the idea that you are capable or you are able to buy this vehicle is validated. Now the nitty-gritties of technology and the functionality can be taken care offline, because there is some exchange of documentation. Rather, even that is also changing. You can upload your PAN, you can upload whatever data is required, and people are trying to make it as smooth as possible. But yeah, it's in the kind of a transformation stage. I can say maybe in a 1 year or two, even this will be totally online.
Very good point. And I'll tell you that in parallel, you see, you are coming with a solution for an automobile and talking to the automobile companies. But I've also been part of discussions where major banks have been looking at starting the customer experience of maybe buying something like a car at home, which could be started, with the AR experience at home, using their mobile, and then taking it to what we call as the XR bank, a digital bank. And where I see is both these approaches blending together in the years ahead to come, where you have an integrated experience both in terms of test driving as well as able to get the financial options as well as anything else. Now, on this particular aspect, I also want to share with you that I used to travel in the good old days quite a bit overseas speaking at conferences. Once I was traveling to South Korea. I was in Seoul, and after my speaking engagement in the evening, I was going down and taking a walk in one of their malls. And I came across a showroom, which is a Hyundai showroom. And it was what I would call it as a location-based experience. So they had a virtual device or virtual experience infrastructure set up at the location. A person could walk in and design or choose what accessories you want, what color you want, what bells and whistles you want. And after doing that, if you wanted, you could buy the car. If you don't want, just walk out of it. So do you see that level of customization happening?
Yeah, in fact, you'll be surprised. We have already implemented this in the showrooms. I would like to share my screen once again and show you this as well. Hold on. Oh, sorry, not this one. Yeah. So here it's an in-showroom virtual reality experience. When you walk to the showroom, you can actually wear a headset and you can just see the entire product in virtual reality. I am just showing you the video of it because I can show this, but you can see the level of quality, experience, degree. You can go inside, close the door, open the door, see each and every aspect of your vehicle sitting over there. You can change variants, you can change colors, you can see each and every functionality of the vehicle without any salesperson, interference. It's just between you and technology, and completely immersive. So it's very engaging. Otherwise, the user might just spend maybe just 10, 15 minutes seeing the car. Here they'll spend like good 20, 30 minutes to just see the whole experience in detail, and they get really wow because they feel like touching the vehicle. So yeah, it's already there. India is that way very fast. We are adopting technology very quickly. Our challenge, what we are facing, is purely on the hardware side. Many times we do not get the relevant hardware that we require. But otherwise, we are really very fast in adopting new technology, new things. And the best part is even clients are willing to put their money onto the table, when we have some new idea.
Excellent. Now, the other thing which comes, see, you are working with a number of companies. So anything that you want to showcase to us interesting that is happening with some of the vendors? I know that you are working with Nissan. I know that you are working with Honda. You showed a lot of stuff to us. Is there anything else that you would like to show us today?
Yeah. So let me just show you how different companies are doing. Like I showed you Nissan. I showed you also about Mahindra. I'll show you something about Honda also. Like how they are having a dealership experience, and I will show you something about our platform called Artec, which is a cloud-based platform where you can customize your cars, very comfortably. Let me just share my screen once again, please. So here you can see that when you walk to the dealership, dealership will be able to explain you the entire car on a very big television, because many a times every client has their own point of view. Some clients feel immersive, we don't want to do because it's better to have a big television or a big giant set. So here your salesman will use the tech and show you the entire product in depth, in detail, which can also be used in VR. Okay, but now they don't want to use VR as a medium, they want to just use the television as a medium here. So content primarily is so important, it drives in different platforms, right from your virtual reality to your interactive. Now here, when we created DigiWall experience at the dealership, they were able to sell their cars without really having to maintain the inventory of every vehicle they want to see. They sell. They might have this only one variant, and they will show you all the features. Now here, all the features which otherwise is so difficult to explain, by way of doing animations or by way of showing interactive features, they are able to explain that. So you see, the task becomes so much easier. All this visual thing is so appealing to the end audience. So yes, we have done this. I would like to also now just take a little forward, and I will show you our interactive platform Artec. Now, what in 2018-19, you see how tech changing is so fast. All this was used at the dealership. Client said, can I bring this experience to the website? Same experience I want on the website. It means that if my customer doesn't want to go to dealership, can he see this whole detail in depth at the dealership? At his house. We said, okay. So because of the cloud, the things have changed so drastically, we were able to replicate, or rather evolve this tech to the cloud. I will just show you that also right now.
Artec by Artificial Reality. Introducing Artec, India's first real-time hyper-realistic car visualization platform. Interact with car features. Artec has beautifully showcased everything inside a see it to believe it cinematic setup. This includes all variants along with exterior and interior features or even accessories. Seamless personalization experience, offering its client a variety of personalization choices of accessories. Artificial Reality brings to you a fully integrated rendition of the Renault Kiger. Come and experience India's most advanced virtual car buying expedition.
So we have also won this year in best benchmark content in SMP category in IDMA.
Oh, very good.
Tool, yeah.
Excellent.
So industry recognized what we are trying to, do, and it's pretty encouraging, My point here to establish here is that in 2018-19, we created an experience where when you go to the dealership, you will have the photorealistic car viewing experience. Now, same thing is available on the cloud. You see how quickly technology is evolving. In 1-2 years before, you cannot process that information on the cloud, but now you can. So maybe next year, if customers they can buy a VR headset, they can just probably experience the whole thing at their house in the VR or some other, handheld devices. It's just changing. Now, for the OEMs or for the any user, it's important that are you in that league to be in sync with what's happening around you or in technology, or you are just like a little behind. So for any company to be in the game, they really need to be in that competitive landscape and keep upgrading and reskilling their people and thinking new ideas. Because I think after some time, technology will not be spoken about because it's going to be so irrelevant that technology is going to be there. It's all about going to be experience. What experience are you going to offer?
So we had a good look at how the customer buying experience has evolved over the year, how it has got accelerated during the pandemic time. But not only at the customer level, we also showcased what was happening at the channel or the dealer level.
Right,
Now, I want to come to a related aspect, which is driving.
right.
I know that in a lot of countries there are a lot of use cases in terms of teaching people why they should be driving safely, and that's a very simple use case where you get a person to actually drive in a virtual reality environment and let them overspeed and look at the implications of that happening so that without causing any harm to themselves they learn. But move back to another use case, which is actually, helping a person drive. Is that happening?
Yes. So to a great degree in a country like India, this is going to be the really much awaited experience. But I believe that because as you see, the driving ecosystem is totally controlled by government bodies, issuing of licenses and things like that. Yes, but virtual reality driving tests will be the future of driving here, also in our country. I don't know about other countries or how they are conducting tests, but what I believe in US, they do this kind of a test where you really don't have to go in real world situation. You simulate the whole environment and you drive here. Yes, it's going to be the scene here in India as well. Yet driving simulation, apart from seeing your driving skills, to buy the car, like to replace real test drive, it's still very far, in my opinion. It's still very far because this tech is very expensive to be implemented at a local physical dealership. Yet it's a lot easier to just show the car. And I personally believe that you will not buy a car without driving it if you are going to be the driver. So yeah, that technology will evolve in times to come, but I think it's yet very far. The hardware is very expensive.
Understand. So, have you set up any locations within India to help people learn driving using immersive technologies?
No, currently we are not into this aspect because, as I told you, that VR driving is predominantly controlled by the government body for issuing of licenses. And second, and most important, we are the training schools in India. As you know, that people who train on vehicles, the vehicles are not that expensive here to be trained. It's like you buy a small Wagoner or a other car to just drive. It's a lot more cheaper to invest in the actual car than buying a simulator. So that personally,
Excellent, excellent point. So, you see, you hit the nail on the head. There are two aspects when it comes to assessment because a driving test is like an assessment. One aspect is, the credentialing body or the assessment body.
correct.
That even in countries like Australia, etc., is still a way to go to accept assessment in a virtual reality environment.
Right.
Having said that, the training part, which is in terms of learning how to drive, there is a lot of stuff which is happening. But that also comes down to the business cases for the two options. And as you rightly said, that sometimes in India, the cost of the simulator itself or the simulated environment that we are trying to create could be as high as the second-hand car to teach kind of a thing. So yes, so these factors do come into play in terms of take up of immersive technologies in learning driving, or for that matter, in learning anything and then going for an assessment.
Right.
So I've had a lovely chat with you. I have enjoyed hell of a lot. Now, where to from here, Deepak? What do you've been doing so well in the local markets? Are you now looking at international markets? What is the
Oh,
story?
Yeah. So you see that our platform Artec that we have created, it's a cloud-based rendering platform. And I personally think, and I think I know also that not there are many companies in the world who are doing this level of experience on the web. Yet people are using image-based rendering or WebGL-based 360 simulator, interactive experience. But to the level that we have worked upon, that detailing and the depth is what's going to be required in times to come. When the customer is going to make a payment or maybe half payment or full payment from the website after doing a test drive, he will expect a wonderful experience. We are looking to export our solutions to other countries, and we are already in talks with some OEMs to, for a buy-in. Hopefully, in this year, we should be closing some big contracts.
Fabulous. Now, also in terms of the evolution of the technology, you see, when you look at the span, it goes from 360 to AR to VR, and whatever we may call as the entire range is MR, and then on to multi-sensory, which is including haptics, including sense. So, are you also looking at extending your offering in that particular direction?
Yes. So you see that as this technology will mature, okay, the next definite step is sensory. How close are you going to bring your product to your end audience? But again, the point here is how much mass can you go with that specific device? It's going to be range locations based, because if experience is just going to be digital, I personally believe that we won't be able to give sensory perception while he is at home. But otherwise, if he's at a public location or something like that where many audiences can experience the product, yes, it's going to be. Also, one thing what I have realized also, many times the technology becomes a gratification more than the product itself.
Very true. Very true. Very true.
People want to see, okay, let's see, and it specifically attract young millennials, who are students, engineering students, or otherwise, or couples with young children, like my son is all the more, he's so active. He say, I want to see VR. I want to come to your office and see VR. He wants to play a game in VR. So yeah, it's very interesting.
So on another aspect, I think over the last couple of sessions that I have conducted, very often I have seen that there have been questions about people also wanting to know that if they want to talk to you or if they want to work in that, if they're looking for internships, they're looking for job opportunities, either from a technology or a creative aspect, how do you go about the process, and can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, definitely. See, definitely any company in this world wants talent. Of course, we need clients, but before clients, we need people. Because once we have people, we build the tech, we can sell to the client. So yes, we are always open to people who are looking for some kind of an internship if they have really good skill set. Why not? It's going to be like our pleasure. And in order to get in touch with us, I'll just quickly share my screen so that maybe it's there. Yeah, you can, 1 second. Let me just share it again. Yeah, they can just write down to our email ID. My phone number is also there. And that's it. I want to see what they're up to.
This has been an absolutely wonderful session. I myself learned quite a bit, Deepak. Thank you so much for taking the time out. And now I will go across to the audience and ask them, do they have any questions? Our talk was very, very comprehensive, and we covered a range of subjects and a range of topics. So, but even now, if anybody has any burning questions, more than happy to take it up now, or you can always get in touch with me, Priyanka, or Deepak, and any of us, and we'll make sure that your questions are answered. With that, it is back to you, Priyanka, and this is once again Pradeep from Sydney signing off. And also, as I say, that we are on a journey. We are collectively on a journey, and what the pandemic has done is it has accelerated our journey. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for taking the time out for joining us. Deepak, thank you so much for taking out the time to talk to us. Priyanka, thank you so much for organizing it. That's all. Back to you, Priyanka. Please give a round of applause to Deepak.
Thank you, Pradeep ji. Thank you very much. My pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for having me today.
And
Thank you so
th-
much.
thank
Pradeep,
you, Priyanka. Yeah,
we have this one question from the guest called Yash.
yeah.
So he does, mention that it has been an thrilling session, but he would like to know when can we expect tactile sensory input along with the digital AR VR devices?
So that's a very, very good question. And there's a lot of work which is happening all over the world. In fact, one of the examples that I give often is that about what 3 years, 3 or 4 years back, I was at the VR lab at the University of California in San Diego, and there they had developed the robotics and the VR departments were working together, and they had developed a glove, a sensory glove, where if you went in the VR environment and you put on the glove and you touched a piano, you got a sensation. So this is what was happening 4 years back. Fast forward now, today what we've got is that you see, especially in terms of haptics, which is in terms of touch, there is a lot of work which is happening in terms of measuring the force which is required and replicating that force over there. So in a couple of years, we are still not there at the moment, but in a couple of years, you will see that happening, and that will happen in parallel with the smart glass development. Because at the moment we've got head-mounted devices, we've got smart glasses, but we're still a couple of years away for a perfect or a great smart glass device, which we can use it for a whole lot of immersive experiences. So that would be my response. So in summary, it's happening, but it'll just take a little bit more time. Back to you, Priyanka.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pradeep. I think my last take would be I feel after hearing this entire conversation that automobile industry and what specifically Deepak's company has been doing is to playing a very critical role in making people get comfortable with this technology, because as we see AR, VR, MR, people are not very comfortable with it, but in various ways, right? Silently selling it from desktop to mobile to then migrating them to XR devices. I think you're making people comfortable and preparing them for the host of opportunities and possibilities that lies and awaits to be explored by them. So I think it's a great things work in motion, which also sets a very high expectation bar for and from the brands by consumers, because your virtual reality experiences are really thrilling and exciting, but then it creates and lies a bigger onus on the brands that they match the VR experiences to the actual product experience.
What a
Right.
wonderful point. Absolutely
Right.
a wonderful point that, that matching of what is the needs and
Yes,
what exactly is being showcased. Wonderful.
absolutely.
And not only that, but you see, the other aspect, what you mentioned about is also you are spot on. Because end of the day, it is not about technology. Technology is just an enabler.
Yes.
So all of us in the journal, we have to look at it. That is what really I liked about Deepak also for the first time around, that there was a lot of quality work which was happening, but he was not that he was dropping in all the acronyms and trying to make it very technically very this thing, like 6 degrees of freedom or XYZ kind of a thing. I was really interested in that. We are interested in how our life is getting better, as my experience getting better, or is there a certain value which I'm getting out of it. That's
Yeah.
so.
Absolutely. So
But
XR is
having
about
said that, there are communities, because there is the developer community, which is very much, and there is a creative community, there is a business community. So there will be different kind of communities. But for mass adoption, that is the way forward. So back to you, and
thank you. Thank
thank you
you.
once again.
So, thank you, Pradeep, and thank you, Deepak, for giving us your time and bringing about this insightful session, which was full power loaded with lots of information. So, I like to thank everyone in the audience for joining us on a Saturday morning, for joining us on the customer and channel XR experience in the automotive retail, and in fact, Deepak touched upon a lot of aspects. So in case from anybody from the audience like to get in touch with Pradeep or with Deepak Khanna, you could write it to me directly. And we can help you get in touch, or if you have any questions. And once this session ends, we will be sending across you a survey mail to get your feedback. Also, please feel free to share in case you have any specific request on any topics that you would like to cover. You would like to send across this thing. The detailed recording of this session will also be mailed to you in a couple of days, 2 to 3 working days, say by Monday or Tuesday. And in case you have any feedback, please feel free to write, and keep following GeoTesseract and VRARA to be engaged with next upcoming engaging sessions with Pradeep Khanna and some other guest very soon in next couple of months. Thank you, everyone, and have the rest of a great day.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Pradeep. Thank you, Priyanka. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.